I'm just going to do this little chapter here before I get going again. I'm listing some of the things that I've done in the past. TV shows. I did the Let's Go show with the Northwest Company 4, 5, 7 times. And I did the Vancouver show with Pia Chandel back in my Holiday in Hollywood album days. I did that 2 or 3 times, which unfortunately I can't find the films for. I did a Vancouver TV show for Christmas once. I think Julia, my girlfriend, lined that up. I did a Rogers cable TV show at the Century Plaza Hotel in the Stanley Park Tea House, interviews, and the Century Plaza was playing the piano and singing. I did the CFCN Miss Calgary pageant and the home cooking show out in Calgary. I was at the Junos where I was nominated for a Juno Award as Best Male Singer. Best New Male Vocalist, me and Bryan Adams and a guy from April Wine. He won, Bryan Adams didn't. I don't know if I forgot to do the thing about the Junos with the my other thing, but anyway. And I did a Sycamoose Christmas show. Up in Sycamoose, I went up there when I had my Christmas album out and did a thing at the ice rink where I sang my Christmas songs. Radio interviews, I've done many. Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton, Prince George, Kelowna, Winnipeg, Vancouver. I've done a lot. I've been in a lot of different newspapers. The Now paper in Vancouver. Many articles in newspapers from all over. Sycamoose, my hometown, of course. Calgary, Edmonton. A lot of papers did write-ups about me, even in the Northwest Company. And the magazines, I was one of the luckiest guys in the world to be on the front cover of Billboard magazine. August 18th, 1979. I might have been in 2 different episodes, but I only have the date for the one, and I found it on the internet under Google Books. And I was in Record World, a write-up about me when Holiday in Hollywood was out. RPM magazine, I was also nominated on the RPM Awards, and I was nominated on the Juno Awards, and I won the PRO SOCAN Award for one of the top 10 songs in Canada, Holiday in Hollywood, which was on with Break It To Me Gently, Where the Lions Sleep, and Music Box Dancer with Frank Mills. So I won that also. I play, the musical instruments I play are guitar, which I learned when I was 5, playing a slide guitar with a kitchen knife on a guitar, open-tuned. And then piano, I learned when I was, 7 or 8. I started playing piano. And the drums I learned when I was very young, too, 8 or 9. I started playing on shoe boxes and pots and pans. And I also play harmonica. And I also play banjo. I have a couple of different, one really good banjo, and I have a banjo guitar, but I play a little bit of banjo too, but I've never really practiced it enough. But the bands that I've played in that I can remember right now are the Esquires, which was the trio from Sycamoose when I was a kid. I auditioned for Little Daddy and the Bachelors in Vancouver, but I didn't get the gig. So I did play with them once. And the Questions I was in with Rick McCarty, Dave Rougeau, Adrie Van Viersen, Frank Babakife, and me. Northwest Company with all the guys in that band, Rick McCarty, Gowan Jorgensen, Ray O'Toole, Vidar Skoftaby, and myself playing drums. Home Cooking with Ray O'Toole, Stan Bell, and Gordy Walker. Gordy what was his name? Gordy Panchitson. We also had Mike Vincent, Rosalind Keene, Irene Butler singing with that home cooking band. Then I played with a band called High Times, Doug Havens, Jim Fraser, and a drummer named Terry. Then I played in Shakedown. That was my band I started with Neil James, or Neil Harnett, I guess, Rick Clark, Allie, this girl named Allie, I forget her last name, Marshall Hunt, and George Chapless, and Ray O'Toole joined the band at one time, and Glenn Henderson. I forget what Allie's last name was, not McGraw anyway. She was a really good keyboard player. And the Richard Stepp Band, of course, which had myself, Nick Doctor, Mike Casper, Mike Hanford, and sometimes Peter Sweetser. Then I played with Richard and the Hired Guns, with I Dreamed I Died and Went to Heaven background singers, with had Al Forsyth on drums, Johnny Parker on bass, Bobby Regan on guitar, myself on guitar and piano, and that was not too long of a lived band, but it was a good band. An overview of my career was pretty well starting in Sycamoose Esquires, and then, you know, the different bands, coming to Vancouver, playing in bands, then go to New Zealand, come back, join the Northwest Company. Northwest Company releases a whole bunch of songs, including Rock and Roll Lover Man, which was my first song that I sang as a hit record with the Northwest Company. Then I released Chasing a Dream under Richard Stepp. Then I released Holiday in Hollywood with my own name, done in L.A. Then I released Richard Stepp. And since then I've done many, many recordings. The Dogwood series, I've done the Crompton series. I've done hundreds and hundreds of songs I recorded and wrote. Traveled all over the world in the cruise ships, all the different Caribbean islands, Mexico. I've been to New Zealand. I've been to Hawaii, Fiji. I've been to Germany, Sweden, England. Places I've recorded at in my life was CKNW with The Questions. That was a radio station. Psychord up in down on 4th Avenue, which was where Northwest Company recorded a bunch of songs and 45s with Robin Spurgeon engineering. Then PBS in West Van was a studio in West Van we recorded Rock and Roll Lover Man in, and a bunch of songs with Daryl Burlinghammer, Daryl B., and Fred Latrimo ran that thing. That's where I met Warren Beatty and Julie Christie. They were making McCabe and Mrs. Miller. There was a place called the Gold Rush Studios. I think it's on Arbutus Street. Mushroom Records on 7th Avenue, where I did Chasing the Dream. Devonshire Studios in L.A., Sundown Studios in Calgary, in Edmonton. Sundown Recorders in Edmonton. Smooth Rock Studios in Calgary. There's a studio in East Van. I don't know what it's called, Crossroads. And then there was one in North Van called, I think it's called Greenbrier Studios. Or maybe I got them backward. Crossroads is in, I think, anyway. Crossroads Studio I recorded, or Greenbrier Studios I recorded Step on a Steinway, which is my, that's a great album, just me on piano. So it's on YouTube. And then I recorded at, I think it's the Gold Rush again with Lindsay Mitchell and Billy Cowsill. Lindsay Mitchell from Prism and Seeds of Time he produced it and played guitar, and Billy Cowsill sang some of the backgrounds. Producers that I've produced me before, Daryl B., Fred Latrimo, a guy named Jay Telfer at Gold Rush, and Rolf Hanneman at Mushroom Studios, Andy DiMartino in L.A., Jim Gaines up in Edmonton. He was from Santana and all those bands that he did. He did Stevie Ray Vaughan and everything. Howard Steele, who did Pointer Sisters, and tons of people. I went through them before in my last chapter on my... I went through those guys' names on my Richard Stepp LP chapter. Wes Dacus, Gaydel Orm, Barry Allen, people that I worked with like that, Jimmy Haskell, the arranger, Sid Sharp, the string man, the engineer Ron Malo at the Devonshire Studios. I already went through Bar Harbor, Okay, Enzo Catalino. Different managers I had were in the past were Darryl B., Ronnie Tomato, which is Ron Graham, Brian Cassidy, and I guess those people from Alberta, McKinnon's, and maybe Andy DiMartini, he kind of managed me. Art I've done in my life, I started drawing and painting when I was a kid in Nelson, and I painted and drew when I was in Sicamous. I liked biology, and I drew pictures, and I used to draw pictures of planes and boats and cars. Then I did one of my first paintings on the Queen of the North. I painted a picture, an artist that was on there doing demonstrations sort of helped me, and I did a nice picture. And Tony O'Regan, who's a famous artist from Vancouver, I took painting lessons from him. And then I messed around by myself with painting. I painted in watercolors and acrylics. I did a portrait of Tony O'Regan. I did a portrait of Marcia, my wife. Now, famous people I've met, here's a list. I think I'll do this separate, okay?